Hey, everybody. It's Saturday, actually. Sometimes I lose track of time. I'm still Kevin Merkel, though. I'm still CEO here at CoinMetro. This is still an AMA. That's an Ask Me Anything. You ask, I answer, hopefully. Let's get started. I already see a few questions here in the chat. Some people like to show up early. Deep Philippe coming in at number 1, gets the gold medal this week. Good job. Great job. Outstanding job, Deep Philippe. Actually, not a question from Deep Philippe, just saying it's a great week. Great start to 2022. I guess I can. It's a pretty good start. Not bad. Hereby asking, hello, Kevin. Can IQ be integrated on CM now that Polygon version is on since yesterday? The Polygon version is on since yesterday. Normally, I have to add words. This time, I took them away for some reason. Or are you just waiting for another layer? Well, we currently don't support Polygon, but we're willing to. So I guess that would mean that it can be integrated, yes. Will it be integrated? We have to see when we support Polygon. Obviously, if IQ decides to support a protocol that we currently support, it would be a much faster turnaround time. Though I do envision that at some point we will start supporting layer 2s connected to Ethereum. So we shall see. People keep asking about adding odd. This is from David. But when shekels on CM? I want to deposit my JIDF award rewards. I didn't know they paid rewards. Maybe I have a few hanging around somewhere. I should check my JIDF wallet. So yeah, shekels. Probably not going to support shekels anytime soon. I'm not sure any of our bank accounts support shekels. I'll have to ask. But for Australian dollars, still working on that. Hopefully now in the new year, we're going to get some responses back. I'm going to be digging into that. One of the things I'll be digging into when I'm back in Talon this coming week. Also, potentially a sister currency of Australian dollars. Hint, hint, wink, wink stuff. Mic check, okay. Thanks, Jens. I didn't ask this week, but I'm glad you're on the ball. How are you? How are you? Hi, Harold. How are you as well? Yeah, probably an inside job, but, still, the guy still got the gold. I mean, there'll be an investigation. We'll put together a panel, but he'll still keep the gold. I mean, that's how it works when you put together a panel. Hey, Kevin, you mentioned new listings this month. Any more info about it? Not yet, Disco Burger. Disco Burger, that's not bad. Yeah, not yet, but hopefully on one of these upcoming AMAs. With higher XCM price, XCM vaulting burning goes down. Are there plans to extend the tokenomics with additional vaulting burning mechanisms? There are plans to change the tokenomics. What you're specifically speaking about here, not something we've actively discussed, but I wouldn't expect this to be the only time we change the tokenomics, though this might be the biggest change you'll ever see in terms of tokenomics on CoinMetro, coming soon to an AMA Telegram message near you. Any new listings? Listings are coming. They may still happen this month. We will see. I'll know more about that when I'm back in Talon and I'm able to have a few meetings around the company. Have you heard of Taraxa, and do you think it would be a good fit for listing? I have not. I have not heard of Taraxa. What crypto or fiat pairs will new listings have? Well, historically on CoinMetro, crypto pairings, meaning two cryptos, don't get any volume. So more than likely will be fiat pairings at the beginning, Euro USD, and then we go from there. Perica92, can you talk more about digital fiat, what it will do with CoinMetro and clients, also about ownership of digital fiat CoinMetro and their parent company? I don't know what you want to know about ownership, but there is a parent entity called CoinMetro Group. CoinMetro Group basically provides services back to its daughter companies. Both CoinMetro and Digital Fiat are daughter companies of CoinMetro Group, along with every other entity that sits within that group structure. So it's a pretty simplistic structure for now. It may change a bit. We may move around some of the pieces on the board. However, at the end of the day, the group, CoinMetro Group, will still be the owner of all those properties, either directly or indirectly. Digital Fiat is going to provide fiat services. So EMI, electronic money issuance, bank-like services to CoinMetro clients. That's going to be things like IBANs, debit cards, transfers, third-party transfers, meaning fiat money, third-party transfers right from account to account, from CoinMetro account to CoinMetro account, etc. So digital fiat will act like any other EMI we currently use to process payments, whether that in euro, for example. However, it'll be our own EMI, and thus we'll be able to do a bit more with it, considering the fact that, well, we own it. Another one from Perica. With new funding round. Oh, my external lighting source just went off, but you can still see me, so I guess we're all good. Will new funding round in September be for CM or all three? And is that reserved for VC funds only, or users can be a part with community funds? The funding will be for CoinMetro Group. So indirectly, we're talking about that's funding for all properties that exist inside of the group. I don't know yet. We're going to have to see. We do need VC money, absolutely, because we're looking to raise at a minimum 25 million on upwards of 50 or more, depending on the valuation once we get to September. So with that type of money, I think it's imperative that we need to hit professional money, whether that be VCs or funds of funds, etc. I would love to get the community involved. I don't know yet if that's going to be possible. We'll have to see as we get closer to September. This shadow behind me is starting to bother me, guys. So I'm going to connect in my. Now you're seeing my mic. Rode. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and connect this external light source. Give me a second. All right. Amazing. Okay. It's feeling a little weird there. Sorry about that. Are tokenomics being released in 2 weeks, or are you announcing what the tokenomics are in 2 weeks? Interesting. No, we don't want to make an announcement of an announcement. So when we make the announcement, they will be live, not an announcement of an announcement. Yeah, I'm not Justin Sun, so I don't do that. Well, maybe I have done it in the past. Not on purpose, though, at least, I think. People often want stablecoins on CM. Any work on Luna, Cadena, CoinMetro ecosystem currently ongoing? Yep, they definitely want stablecoins. We do have stablecoins. We haven't integrated them enough, I think, in terms of UST and USDC. That will happen. We will get more stablecoin pairs. Luna, Cadena, CoinMetro ecosystem. Yep, Luna native will be going live soon. Cadena, working with them for KBTC, KETH. That is also hopefully coming soon. And I'm sure there'll be ongoing work as well over and above those two projects. Is there another AMA with a CM partner on the horizon? Nice question, Philip. I'd have to say yes. Who? Well, that's going to depend on the listings that we do next, who we may invite on the show. But yeah, absolutely. There's also going to be a bit more Kevin screen time through a few other live crypto shows that I'll be joining on the regular coming up in the next few months. Will new tokenomics and staking update come at the same time? And what is the headlines planned on marketing side? Well, new tokenomics and staking update, one in the same almost, or at least are going to cross over each other. So yes, pretty much they will come at the same time. Headlines planned on the marketing side. Well, we have to ask marketing about that. But it's definitely going to talk about the versatility and the uniqueness of the way these staking plans work, specifically for XCM. And I think if I tell you too much about headlines, I'm going to give too much away, and I've already given away way too much. So we'll stay there. What is your personal opinion on Neo? Well, I haven't seen the new Matrix movie, but once I do watch it, I'll let you know. I like Neo. I think he's a well-rounded gentleman. Made a few mistakes here and there, but I'm pretty sure he can redeem himself in this movie or the Matrix 57, whenever that one comes out. As far as Neo, the token, I don't really have an opinion. Don't know enough about it. Haven't really read into it to really give you a great opinion, so I just won't give you one. Pablo asking, will we see more staking for Cadena? Absolutely, you will. We just need to wait for Cadena themselves to reopen bonding, which is supposed to happen Q1 this year. So could be any day now. Are you nervous about the recent dump? Should I exit all markets? Well, my portfolio looks like shit. So I'm, so there's that. But yeah, I'm not nervous about the so-called dump. Look, I say this a lot, but if this was, if I was having my money sitting in traditional stocks or a money market fund, and it took a 35% hit, over a few days, I'd probably be worried. In fact, I probably would have sold far before that 35% was hit. This is crypto. This is crypto. If you notice, that was right around January 6th and 7th when we saw the majority, 5th, 6th, and 7th, when we saw the majority of that drop. Remember that in 2017, the drop started on, I believe, January 7th. And so there's a lot of people out there that figured that January 7th was going to be, the start of the next capitulation and fall. And thus they sold because they don't know how to read a market. They think markets just constantly repeat themselves. And they think there's some type of grand cycle in crypto that, oh my God, it's been 4 years. Everything's going to go to shit. That doesn't make any sense. And anybody kind of saying those things is probably getting most of their market advice from the way Saturn goes around Jupiter, which, I don't know shit about Saturn and Jupiter. So, maybe they're right, but I don't think so. I think this market is fundamentally different by leaps and bounds. So what I would say is if you can't handle this type of volatility, you might want to exit because it could get worse. But in the long run, if you look at crypto in general, look at any chart really, look at Bitcoin just to give you the farthest back, the biggest amount of data you can look at, and you'll see that this is, well, normal. What you will notice though is that most of the time back in the day being just a few years ago, corrections were in the 80% range. I have mentioned previously on the show that I don't expect to see those type of corrections again because of the fundamentals changing in crypto, because of more institutional money rolling in. And thus a 35 to 40% correction still in any other market would be drastic, you'd be well into a bear market. But in crypto, not so much. And here, I do think we've seen probably the worst of it. And it's probably only caused by kind of reverse hype. People assuming that the cycle is coming to an end, and compound that with any other bad news or bad market adjustments that you might see in other markets, which always trickle down a bit into crypto. Recently, there was 2 ads by Crypto.com, being banned. Will they fall similar to Binance? I don't know where these ads were banned. Look, there's a lot of companies in crypto that do things they shouldn't be doing. I can't say that I know a ton about Crypto.com. I've analyzed, their debit card and how they pay rewards, and I could talk for quite some time about how I think that system looks. But, they've made a lot of money, obviously. What they just spend? Well, they didn't spend it probably, but $700 million to put their name on a stadium, which, by the way, every company that's ever put their name on that stadium, or I think any other major stadium in the US, has gone into bankruptcy years afterward. So yeah, good idea. Thanks, Crypto.com. Having said that, I don't know. It's a good question, but I don't know. I don't know enough about their business. Obviously, they are situated in countries where they have to have some form of regulation. So they're not in the same boat as Binance. I think a lot of these companies, look, I don't even think we're going to call this crypto in the coming years. That might take 2 years, it might take 5, it might take 10. But I doubt that Crypto.com is going to be the place that people go, to do anything with digital assets or digital currencies for that matter. But that doesn't mean they won't exist, right? They might have to change the name on the stadium, which they'll probably only have to pay like $45 million to repaint the name. So, that's just like 6 other people buying their debit card and staking $1.5 billion CRO. So they should be fine. What's the big deal, right? I mean, when DNA and Vespa staking? Well, Vespa will probably come before DNA, and Vespa may allow us to create a unique DNA staking option. I know DNA also has its own staking option. I haven't had time yet to talk to David Kopsel, their CEO, about that staking option, but I plan to. And when I do, we'll see if it's feasible for us to launch that. Vespa staking is probably one of the next that we're going to tackle, probably within this quarter. Not yet. Well, you'll see the official roadmap probably in the coming week or so. So you'll see if it's there. Violet Mouse, you've said you plan on selling a fraction of your personal XCM and will keep the rest indefinitely. Now that XCM can be burned, would you burn most of your personal XCM stash for the good of XCM? That's a great question, actually. And it's going to make me be brutally honest. Would I burn most of my personal XCM? No. Would I burn some of my personal XCM? Yes. Why wouldn't I burn most of it? Well, look, I didn't get into this journey to become, I don't know, the Warren Buffett of crypto. And I don't really care if I ever become the Warren Buffett of crypto. But I do have a family. And that family, I would hope, and my family's family and my family's family is going to need, or I would love to leave them with something that's going to be able to support them, when they're in their 40s and going bald. Hopefully not my daughters, but, if they have kids and boys at some point. So I wouldn't burn all of it. No, it really depends. I have to say it depends. I have a good part of my wealth that sits in XCM. That's for sure. Is it all of it? No. Could I survive without one XCM? Yeah. Would the life of my children be different if I had no XCM? Yeah, probably. I'm also not the type of guy that's going to will everything to my kids. I think that's ridiculous. I think you have to make your own way in life, but I would like to know that they're comfortable and that they're shielded from some of the shit that life throws at them. So I wouldn't burn all of it, at least not yet. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't in the future. So I don't know what the future holds. I don't know, I know that CoinMetro is going to do a fantastic job. I know we're going to still be here. I know we're going to be one of the last ones standing when everything is said and done. If that's the case, and now my stock options and et cetera far exceed what they do now in terms of value, potentially yes. But for now, I also need to think about my family, not necessarily myself, but absolutely I need to think about my family. But great question, Violet. I like those type of questions. They make you be honest, and honesty is great. Don't burn it, Kevin. That's stupid. Just give it to me instead. Well, Bjorn, see, Bjorn putting up another reason why might not want to burn those XCM. Not sure it's a valid one, but thank you, Bjorn. Sees currently soon. Southeast Asia currencies. Okay. Currently. It says currency. I was going to say it's Friday, but it's actually not. It's Saturday, but maybe that's a better excuse. So it's talking about the Singapore dollar. Okay, good. Thai baht, et cetera. Okay. What happened to the office in Hong Kong? We never had an office in Hong Kong. We were registered in Hong Kong. That's where we did our ICO, but we never had an office there. Southeast Asia currencies, Singapore dollar, potentially. The other two, to be honest, until we make it into those markets locally, I don't really see a reason to support those local currencies. Plus, it's not that easy to support them. Usually it's quite expensive too if you don't have accounts locally in the country. Singapore dollar is supported in many other countries outside of Southeast Asia, and thus it's possible we can hook that up and have deposits not costing percentages. But when it comes to the other two, it's going to cost a percentage. And I don't really like hooking up with third-party, payment service providers that charge percentages because it's too expensive to the client base, and especially in those countries where if it is local, it's relatively inexpensive or free to move money. Is it over? Are we all going to have to get second jobs? No, I think we're far, far from over. But it's crypto, man. Volatility is a thing. It's a reason why you make money. It's also a reason why you have days and weeks like these where you think, shit. But still remember that at the end of the day, holding is the best strategy for the vast majority of people out there. If you try to trade tops and bottoms, you're probably going to get massively wrecked. Any idea when KDA staking comes back? Q1 this year is the last thing I heard from Kadena. So we'll see. We will see. We'll try to get an update on that for you in the coming weeks. Best way to deposit USD Euro to CM using UK bank account. Euro, just send a SEPA transfer. You can use Euro SEPA from the UK. USD is a bit more tricky. Maybe using your debit card. Well, no, actually, you can only do Euro that way right now. We haven't lit up USD yet. It's coming, though. At some point, it's coming. USD is just going to be an international wire, unfortunately, and it's going to be expensive. So I would stick with Euro or pounds with your UK bank account, pounds being the easiest. You can always take the pounds, buy, Bitcoin with your pounds or ETH, sell them back to Euro or USD, it's going to cost you much less if you do that on the exchange. You're talking 0.2%, then it's going to cost you more than likely to send an international wire and potentially pay out the nose for it. Hey, Kevin, I heard rumors about some FTX whale liquidating longs on their own exchange on a crazy scale, basically trading against their own customers. How do they get away with this? Well, hey, Clark Kent, are you going to come back to Superman later today? I'd love Superman to ask me a question. I wasn't a big comic book guy, to be honest, when I was a kid, but I did have some. I don't even remember what comic books I had. They probably were stupid. Anyway, I did have The Death of Superman. I remember that one. So nice to see you back from the dead. Actually, but I'm pretty sure you came back from the dead, like, I don't know, a couple of years later, because who the fuck would kill off one of their biggest money-making characters? Anyway, so first of all, we'd have to see if these rumors are actually true. I didn't hear them myself, but to be honest, I've been here with family, so my nose hasn't been so much in the market as it usually would be. Having said that, look, I've been around regulated and non-regulated trading outfits, brokers, brokerages, exchanges for a long time. Nice dramatic pause there. And lots of them, even when regulated, do really, really nefarious shit. I've given examples. Most of my examples are going to come from FX because it's the most time I spent in that market. I have spent time in other markets, but FX by far is where I spent the most of my trading career and my brokerage career as well. And so, you had firms like FXCM, which in the US is one of the largest. Most people that started in FX sometime between 2000 and 2000, when they got shut down, which I think was 16 maybe, probably, or 15, maybe it was even 14. I don't know. Probably opened their first account at FXCM. They were massive. FXCM got caught. They always said they were STP, straight through processing, meaning they didn't actually trade against their clients. In fact, they had an outfit, I think, somewhere in an island, off on an island somewhere, that was owned by them indirectly, that would take about 80% of their client flow and trade against them. And so they got caught. Now, I hate to say this, but the vast majority of regulated brokers had some form of offshore business. And when FXCM got caught, they all got a bit scared and thought, oh shit, maybe we're next. So yeah, I don't know if this is happening, but it could be happening. And you know what? Aside from maybe the bit license, there's really no regulation right now in the US in terms of MSB, money service business, or MTL, money transmission licensing, that would stop them from doing this. Not a thing. It might be immoral. People might think it's wrong. Most people probably would if they knew all the details. But yeah, the bit license I may have some carve outs for things like this. But outside of the bit license in the US, none, at least not when it comes to crypto. Sorry if I was a little jittery here. When will the Flux airdrop be distributed? That should happen in January. So it happened right before the holidays. Our head engineer is back on Monday, back into his chair. And there's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of to-dos. That's on the to-do list. It's a relatively simplistic process once it gets going. So I expect it to happen in January. Greetings. Are there any plans to list Terra's UST stablecoins? We already do. And any plans for more KDA staking? KDA staking will happen once KDA bonding is reopened, hopefully in Q1 this year. It's the last thing they told me about it when I'm speaking about Kadena. And we do have UST on the platform. We do plan to integrate it with more pairings, however, in the very near future. And if you're talking about native, the native is coming as well. Right now we have the ERC version, ERC20 version, Ethereum version. Where did you get this mic from? Basically means red in Danish. Well, Rode is actually one of the most famous microphone producers in the world, I think. They make mics for all types of occasions. Rode. No, they're really great mics. I think every professional, in whether you're doing a podcast or you're filming, a live TV show, you probably have some Rode mics hanging around somewhere. Is Tether FUD real? I don't know what FUD you're specifically talking about, but knowing Tether, yeah, it's probably real, at least to a certain extent. What did you find the hardest when getting CM started up and running from scratch? Is it capital procurement? Hey, David. I was going to call you David. I'm sure many people have done that in the past, and I apologize on behalf of all of them. So no, actually, getting money for a business when you've never done it before always seems, I talk to a lot of people, family included, that'll say, I got a really good idea, just don't have the money. And that's it. It dies right there. Getting money for a great idea is not that difficult. But it can seem daunting, right? If you have to walk door to door or like ask all your best friends for money, that can be very uncomfortable. However, getting money for a great idea should never stop you from pursuing a great idea. So no, it wasn't necessarily about capital. Plus, we're talking about ICO days when you could say like, I'm going to make a gingerbread man out of the protocol and then tokenize him into a gingerbread house, of which I will fractionally sell to small tokenized islands off the coast of micro-tokenesia. And, 500 million. So yeah, capital procurement wasn't really an issue. The hardest thing is people. All businesses are people, right? You can't have a business without people. And the driving force behind the business is people, whether that be, your clients as well are probably people, at least now, maybe in 100 years, I don't know what it's going to look like. But the end of the day, people drive a business, and finding the right people is not easy. No matter how many screenings you do, how many interviews, you can ask them like those Google questions, like, if you were a nickel standing up in a blender, how would you get out without actually being able to jump 10 seconds? You can ask all those weird questions and whatever. At the end of the day, you can still pick wrong. And the worst thing is it may take time to figure out you picked wrong. And most companies, I like to give people chances, right? I'm a chance guy. So I don't like to see one thing I don't like and say, that's it, you're out. I don't do that. However, sometimes, hindsight being 2020, you think, well, maybe that would have been better than the alternative. So people, it's always about the people. People is always the hardest thing when it comes to any business, at least in my opinion. People. Good afternoon from the UK. Hey, Jack, how are you? What a year. Any comments on new listings for Vela's blockchain and its ecosystem? It's a fork of Solana. Yep, I know about Vela's. I met their founder or co-founder maybe in Switzerland 2.5 or 3 years ago. And I don't know if they'd even launched yet. And if they did, they were quite small. We also had somebody from the Vela's team come by our office a year and a half ago, maybe. Anyway, point being, they're not on any short list for us right now. Maybe that's going to change. I'll take a look again to see what they're doing because I haven't looked at them in quite a while. Not a very huge fan of Solana. It is centralized. Not that I'm against centralization. I run a centralized exchange, so that would be stupid. But when it comes to protocols, there will be companies and entities and industries that need centralized protocols. There will be. There are now, for sure. But I think mass adoption of these protocols is going to come from those that are the most decentralized and still able to operate within a regulated market. And I'm not sure that's going to be Solana. So I'm not so big on Solana or its forks. However, that's just me. And my personal opinion doesn't necessarily mean things don't get listed. Just my opinion, which I like to share. Thanks, Jack, for the question, by the way. UST will be great. Yep, already there. Native coming, though. Native is coming. Does this AMA have a question and answer section? Yeah, you're in it, bro. Just post anything there where you are on YouTube, and hopefully I'll get to it. Usually I get to all of them. Sometimes, maybe, on occasion, all the time. Sorry for the indecision there, whatever. Yay, do as much as you can, stable pairs. Yep, Roman, we're getting there. Definitely going to be supporting more stable coin pairs. You should dump your tether for UST. Yeah, I would dump my tether for dirt, to be honest. Well, not dirt. There might be a token called dirt, so I should not say that. If there is a token called dirt, don't buy dirt, I think. Or maybe not. I don't know. I have never heard of it, but there probably is one, to be honest. Token names are going to become like domains. You're going to open a business and be like, okay, do they have, Kevin? It's like, no, shit. We have Kevin 78627272727285. No, I don't want that one. How about Kevy in with 6 eyes? Nope, that one's taken. Shit. Anyway, you can make multiple tokens the same name right now. There is no way to stop someone from using a ticker, unfortunately. That needs to change, I think, at some point. More KDA staking. Hey, Gate 7. Yep, this has been asked, I think, 437 times already on this AMA. But yes, we will support KDA staking when they reopen bonding, hopefully this quarter. Good morning, Kevin. Hey, Nick. I absolutely love CoinMetro. Thank you, Nick. You guys have changed the game for exchanges. Do you have any plans to add helium? If so, I would mine mine right to CoinMetro. Actually, I've taken a look at helium in the past. I did like it. I think it's at the time was a pretty unique concept. Probably something that had some legs. I think we might. Yeah, we might. It's a Saturday thing, man. Sorry, Nick. I think we might. In fact, we probably will. However, it is a mainnet token as far as or mainnet coin as far as I remember, which means we will have to do some work to get it on the platform. And that means it's not going to come as fast as other ERC20 tokens or, tokens or coins that sit on other protocols well, there wouldn't be any coins, but tokens that sit on other protocols that we've already written to. By the way, definition of token and coin has its own protocol. Coin doesn't. Token. Just throwing that out there because I sometimes slip up as well. Any insight on the market? Well, it sucks right now. As I said, my portfolio kind of looks like shit. I'm sure many other portfolios look like shit, though XCM's looking pretty nice. So that part of my portfolio is still looking nice. Looking primed, to be honest. Been sitting around that 50-cent mark euro for quite some time. I'm excited. If you can't tell, that's my excited face. I said a lot. I hate fuck. You ever watch the news? You ever watch like a professional? I say like now too much. It's getting rubbed off from somewhere. I'm going to try not to say like or for the rest of the show unless it's in some type of context where it makes sense. But you ever watched a news program and this guy or girl who's getting paid $2, $3, $4 million a year reads the news like this? Well, there's some problems in the Middle East right now, and I think like someone's going to be able to take care of them. Jesus, makes me want to throw a brick through the TV. That I remember I had to pay for that TV, so I don't. Funny thing is I do have the brick next to the TV. I just never throw it. Kind of makes me feel, I don't know, squishy inside. I'm going really off tangent. I'm sorry. It's Saturday. And this is what happens when you stare at yourself for, 32 minutes and 25 seconds. You just get a bit loopy, so I apologize. Insights on the market would be, I gave a bit at the beginning of the show here. This is crypto. And mic drop. I said, that's not though, so that's okay. Crypto is crypto. It's volatile. It's illiquid. It's going to move in directions that you don't expect. How many directions are there? I guess there's 3. It's going to do things you don't expect. It's going to get priced at prices you don't expect. It's going to move in a direction contrary to where you think it would go based on news you thought would push it somewhere else. And it's very tribal, which makes it cyclical, but it's also changed fundamentally. There's a lot of buzzwords in there. What I mean by that is 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, for those watching cycles or that don't exist, 4 years ago, 2017, I think it was January 7th, the market started to capitulate and fall hard. There's a lot of people in crypto that think that that's going to happen because they've invented this 4-year cycle. They've invented it because they think hindsight is 2020 and that hindsight will repeat itself over and over again for no really good reason other than the fact that that's what's going to happen, bro. Now, fundamentally, we now have institutional money flowing into crypto, especially Bitcoin and to a certain extent Ethereum, at record pace in comparison to the last 12, 13 years. That changes the market. Why? Well, these guys and gals have big pockets, deep pockets. They know that they can manipulate this market, that it's highly manipulatable, and they can do it without any fear of reprisal from the regulator. They also don't want to lose money. So while they do want to buy Bitcoin cheaper, they don't want to have capitulation to the point where it falls back down to a price that they're losing money. So they support price. That doesn't mean that it goes up in a straight line either. That's impossible because at some point people stop buying and then you get capitulation, not from selling, but you get stagnation and simply price starts to fall because, well, nobody is buying, maybe low volume, but it's still nobody's buying. So my insight would be, if these type of situations freak you out, study a bit more about the market and reduce your position sizes until you're comfortable with these type of movements. I think that's good advice. Why do I get this so long? Do I look like I watch anime? Is there like does my face say I'm an anime watcher? Does, the bald people watch anime? Is it just generally for white guys in their 40s that are bald with a beard who wear CoinMetro t-shirts? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I've never watched anime in my life. Not really saying anything about people who do. Whatever you like, you like. And I think that's amazing. But yeah, never got into anime. Shit. See? Anyway. Again, Christ. I've never watched anime, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, there's nothing really else to say about that other than I've never watched anime. Any chance to add Monero? I like it, but not many exchanges have that. Hey, warm house. Is that a warm house? Warm house. It's a warm house. Man's living in a warm house. Hopefully not in the Caribbean. That would suck. No, we won't be adding Monero. Simple reason, and the reason why a lot of exchanges don't support it, is our banking partners and some of the regulators we deal with don't like privacy coins yet. Thus, if we list them, we will have a hard time acquiring new licenses and getting our banking providers to support our business. So no Monero, at least for the time being. What things you consider when choosing a country to set your business? What are the cons of those 0% tax havens? Well, the cons of the 0% tax havens is that most countries look down on them, and it becomes difficult for you to do business in other countries, get bank accounts, get licensed sometimes, because it looks like they know why you went there. And while paying less tax is not a crime, if you do it the right way, legally, it makes businesses, it makes banks, it makes regulators think that you went there for the wrong reasons, or that you're probably doing something that is illegal, either because you're not paying what you should be, you're funneling funds there that should be paid, that taxes should be paid on in other countries, et cetera, et cetera. Again, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, but it makes doing business harder. And you have to weigh the fact that business is harder versus the fact you don't have to pay tax. If you can find a jurisdiction with low tax, but business is easier, you'll probably make significantly more money if then, just paying zero tax, because of the issues you'll have with scaling that business, especially in finance. If you're selling widgets out of the trunk of your car, probably not going to do anything if you move your business to some 0% tax haven. However, if you're in a financial business, it can really hurt your business big time. And as far as what I was looking for, me personally, as this at the time wasn't all that regulated, but I knew would be highly regulated over time, I looked for a place that had regulation. There was, countries like Switzerland. I said like there, but it was in the right context, just in case anybody's keeping count here. Switzerland, which had exemptions and currently has exemptions, meaning they didn't have a license. They just said, you can do this because we don't actually regulate this. That didn't make me feel comfortable. I wanted some form of regulation, and I wanted it in a whitelisted country. That led me to Estonia. It was the only country in the EU that had licenses at the time that were actually created based on a draft of the Anti-Money Laundering Directive 5, which hadn't even been passed yet fully. It hadn't been fully redacted. But they took one of the drafts and made these two licenses for crypto exchange as well as for a crypto wallet service. So that's why I ended up in Estonia. The fact that Estonia has zero corporate tax wasn't necessarily a draw. To be honest, you always pay somewhere. So yes, there's no corporate tax in Estonia, which is great if you have a company already making profits. Obviously, if you're a startup and it's your day one in the country, you're not making any profits. And employment taxes are extremely high. So as you hire people in a growing startup, you pay you pay way more tax than you would pay in other jurisdictions with low corporate taxes, because you're not making any money, so you wouldn't be paying any tax anyway. They did that on purpose. There was another shit. They do that on purpose. So quite an ingenious scheme country becomes well known for unicorns that attracts startups that aren't going to be making money for a few years, and they tax them on their employees higher than other countries. This means they have a constant influx of tax revenue, even though those companies aren't profitable, and they continue to attract them because they continue to be the kind of unicorn hub in the world. Or that was a bad ending, but you get my point. So for me, it was about the regulation. It's going to be different for every business. So there isn't like a blanket, this is what I would look for my business. Depends on what my business is. Credo has beamed me backwards. The tokenomics FUD was real. By the time market is healthy again, the circulating supply will have 10x. My question is, did you have a good Christmas friend? I had COVID. A lot to unpack there, JC. Sorry to hear you had COVID. Also, happy to hear you had COVID and you're still here typing out messages. Means, well, welcome to the family of natural immunity. Yay. Let's all high five around the campfire and eat some marshmallows. So welcome to that. That's awesome. I don't think the FUD, well, the news, the actual information is true. I don't think it actually will have a major effect on price, to be quite honest. I think Credo is going to do amazing things. That's why we listed it. That doesn't necessarily mean we were in agreement with everything about the tokenomics. That's not part of the listing process. Oh, we don't like this one piece, two pieces of the tokenomics. Let's not list this. We don't list things because we inherently want to make sure everything goes to the moon. That's also not the point. We list things that we believe in. We want to help them, and they in turn want to help us. And I think that's where we differ from the likes of your Binances, your Huobi's, your Coinbases. I couldn't remember Coinbase's name. Maybe that's a hint. Maybe it's a bullet. Maybe it's a bearish sign for Coinbase. I had a decent Christmas though. I guess I was around family, so that was good. Didn't do much. Just kind of hung out, with family on that day. We had a big fraud ring hitting us, so it was about a little bit of work involved. but overall, it was a good Christmas. I didn't have COVID, so there's that. I mean, I did, but not in Christmas. Hey, Kevin, are you able to expand on the January update in the CV Reflect tram, closing all open positions due to institutional money coming in and possibly restarting any time scale? I can't actually, but you'd have to ask that directly to the managers of the CV tram. I can't really answer those questions. I'm not privy to all that information, as they definitely are, because they're the one managing it. So you'd have to ask that directly to them. You can probably ask at Pizza Mind inside of our Telegram chat. He can probably help you there. What is the current turnaround time for company verification? I've been waiting since the 23rd of December. Is there still a significant number of new clients coming in? Yes, and there's still fraud coming in as well, which our compliance team has had to deal with. Plus, the entirety of the team, well, not the entirety, but many pieces of the team have been on leave, but most of the team will be back starting this week, and thus things will start to pick up again. Normally, company verification is a maximum 72-hour process. However, given the fact that compliance has been trying to help us thwart all these attacks and fraud, I at some point here, I'm sure there'll be a question. I'll give you guys some insight onto what's been happening. Can't give you all the details because that's just going to help the scammers. Suffice it to say that we've helped a lot of people save money and not get duped by these guys. A massive amount, millions of dollars saved because our compliance team, our support teams, our finance teams, our devs, executive team, even product, everybody had their hands in there trying to make sure that we protected these unsuspecting victims. Because of that, things have just been a bit slower. Now, we don't necessarily like to be slow. However, if it's onboarding a new client versus helping someone that may be about to get their life savings stolen, we have to, unfortunately or fortunately, put those efforts in the right direction. Why is there a maximum on margin collaterals? There's a maximum because we want to make sure that there is the healthiest trading experience we can provide. Now, there is an argument to say that limiting it also creates higher risk for some clients because they aren't able to add additional collateral when they get close to a margin call position or situation. And that's true. However, the vast majority of clients actually trade far less than 25,000 in terms of maximum collateral. So for the vast majority of clients, 25,000 is enough it also means that there is a controlled amount of volatility because there's a controlled amount of volumes going into the market. Again, there's always the other side of the argument that says, well, if you allow people to deposit more money, even if it's just a small percentage, they would be able to trade more, add more liquidity to the book. That's also something that could potentially be true. What we see now is, in terms of numbers, is that the most people that use that platform trade below 25K. Most people don't need that limit raised. Also, when it comes to liquidity, we know that a lot of these assets are illiquid. The more people trade without understanding that these assets are illiquid, the more spikes we see, the more volatility we see, and it ends up hurting the people that don't necessarily know how the market works, which are the smaller clients, which are the ones we want to protect the most, because usually those guys are the ones that don't have enough knowledge. So we will be raising this limit. Absolutely. Eventually there will be no limit. Unfortunately, we've had a million other things to focus on, so this hasn't been a focus. We will have a new margin platform coming out. You'll see lots of changes visually as well as with some features. And when we release that, I think we will start to go down the line of removing some of these limits or altering them. Any comment on the latest Estonian regulations that were badly handled by the financial regulator? Any clarity regarding your view regarding the issue of virtual asset service providers? Well, you'll notice after there was a tweet storm by someone who obviously didn't really know what they were talking about, saying that this was going to stop individuals from owning Bitcoin in Estonia and kill DeFi. The regulator actually came out and said, no, that's a complete misinterpretation of what we're doing. We saw this potential legislation, it hasn't been passed yet, back in Q2 or Q3 of last year. And we provided comments, and so did a lot of others. There are a slew of comments that came from market people within this market, and also people working with this market, meaning the vast market, the virtual asset service provider market. I doubt that what you saw in that draft is what is actually going to make it on paper. There will also be additional explanations. Now, laws are always written in a way that they leave a bit of gray area or some ambiguity, because that gives the prosecutors, the state prosecutors, the ability to place charges when it's not exactly as maybe most people would interpret the law, but they can try and get a judge to interpret it slightly differently. That also helps, by the way, for companies in the industry to be able to defend themselves and say, well, our interpretation of this legislation is this, and we do not operate as, like this. We operate like this. So I don't expect there to be major reverberations. I don't think you're going to see the death of DeFi or the death of Bitcoin ownership in Estonia. I think Estonia is trying to do the right thing. I think they're probably taking a few missteps. I think they do need to listen a bit more to the outward community of business owners. I would love for them to have some type of forum where we could go in and chat, and they can understand our perspective. They can see how we mitigate fraud, how we mitigate risk, how we do our due diligence, and how, putting a wall between people in this market is only going to make the problem worse. If they're trying to catch money launderers, stopping them from moving funds from one type of asset to a regulated exchange that's required to get their information is not going to help investigations. I do think they realize that. In fact, if you look at their responses to some of those tweets, you will see that they do realize that. Understand that it's not the smartest guy in the room that drafts the legislation. So it's also not the smartest people in the room sometimes that vote for the legislation either, but it's not drafted by them. So this, I think we're going to go through a few more rounds of changes. We probably will see things we don't like in the new legislation, but that doesn't mean it can't be changed. I'm not very worried about this, to be quite honest. But I would love to have a chat with the head of the FIU. That would be amazing. What price do you expect from Credo this year? Also, are you familiar with Heikin-Ashi candles? Yeah, like a really good way to look for a bottom. Do you have some advice for navigating market? Hey, Camel. So yes, I'm familiar with Heikin-Ashi candles. I'm also familiar with every other type of candlestick that exists. Understand that it's just another way of looking at belated information. Well, if you're looking at it in real time, price is the only real non-lagging indicator. But obviously, if you're looking at it to try and look at support and resistance, you are looking at a slightly belated chart. I've never used them myself. I understand how they function. I never use them to pick bottoms. For me, I ended up using basically naked charts. Those could be bar charts, candlestick charts, line charts, whatever kind of chart. Didn't really matter to me. Once I was confident enough where I could look at a chart and figure out more or less where I wanted to place my orders, I was off to the races. That's when I really started to make money trading. Before that, I didn't. But if they work for you, that's great. Credo this year, I'm not going to give you a price point. What I will say is I think they're going to do amazing things that almost every exchange, almost every individual will need. They may not know they need them this year, but eventually I think they will be a part of almost everyone's crypto strategy, especially at an institutional level. There are things they are offering that are normal in traditional markets that for some reason, even though crypto is set up perfectly to offer them, it doesn't. And Credo is working on that solution. And those are kind of tripartite or non-custodial deposit methods where you can trade on centralized pricing and not have to deposit your funds. I think that's going to change the way this market operates. And if they do it correctly, Credo is going to be a monster. Advice on navigating the market. I've given a few pieces of advice already, so you can scroll back a bit. I want to move on since we only have 10 minutes. I want to see as many questions I can get in, but great questions. Thanks for asking them. 2020 was the year of CoinMetro, 21 year of XCM, 2022 passive income year of 2022. What's the latest with IBANs? Do you guys have a ballpark date? We're looking Q2, Q3 this year, along with the launch of our digital fiat brand. I hold CRO, bought an average of 15 cents. You got me curious about your opinion on their staking card reward structure now. Do you believe that this is not sustainable? I don't believe it's sustainable, no. I'll leave it there. But no, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it was ever made to be sustainable. Hi, Kev. I have this theory that Plan B stock to flow model is failing, is actually a good thing for the market since BTC is now allowed to find its own price. Well, it always was allowed to find its own price, to be fair. Doesn't have to follow this prophecy of massive boom and bust cycles. What are your thoughts on this? Well, I stated right from the beginning that I thought the stock to flow ratio was fucking nonsense. And the reason is, you can't, stock to flow doesn't make any sense with crypto because most crypto activity happens in synthetics, derivatives, and or some form of synthetic, meaning you're not trading underlying Bitcoin, you're trading the price. You're trading the price of the asset, not the actual asset. So even if there's no more Bitcoin mined and there's no flow or stock coming in, so what? It's meaningless because there's an infinite supply of potential liquidity inside the market at all times. Just because you trade more than the incoming supply is meaningless, is absolutely meaningless. And there's no really good argument to say that it has any meaning. So I think it might have been on Twitter, it was somewhere, I kind of called it out as bullshit. Obviously, it seems to have tracked price to a certain extent, but that's not too hard, man. Broken clocks are right twice a day. You can come out with any random type of market indicator that could be right 90% of the time, to be honest. But the 10% you're wrong will completely wreck you and your strategy. So I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, and I think it's kind of neutral that it doesn't work. It never worked, to be honest. I don't think it was dictating price either. There definitely were people following it and buying when the outer bands were touched, for sure. But there's people right now using any number of indicators and buying when bands are touched. Is that the best way to trade a market? No, absolutely not. The thing is that it's not really about the strategy you use, but the money management you employ. Because again, you could create a strategy, very simplistic one, that can be right 90% of the time. That may sound really hard to do. It's not. The problem is with most people is that they will bet 1%, 2%, 3%, 10%, 20% of their account, go up and up as they win. And they'll get out sometimes even before their own system tells them to get out because they made some money. But when they start to lose, they don't get out. They go, well, it's coming back. It's not going to break my model. Well, it broke my model, but if I adjust my model in this way, oh, you know what? Instead of using the 20-day moving average, I'm going to use the 45-day moving average because, that's also part of my plan. Not really. And they just never close losing positions and they get blown out. That's what happens to the vast majority of traders. And so, yeah, I don't think it ever worked, to be honest. And I don't think it's accurate. by any stretch of the imagination. The underlying methodology just doesn't make any sense to me. Any staking on ETH 2.0 on CoinMetro in the future? Yep. Maybe not on ETH 2.0, but ETH staking definitely going to be a thing. Kevin joined the influencer business for mics, it seems. Yes. Yep. Rode Mike is now paying me in XCM somehow. Yeah. I'd be a terrible influencer. Who wants to buy something from a bald 40-year-old dude? Maybe a mic, I guess. Maybe a hat. I could sell hats. Probably really good at selling hats. Can you fix the issue new users are having and not being able to sign up fully? Hey, Horbo. Now, you know what? We're just going to leave that one. We don't really want to fix that one. We don't like new users. New users. This is a private club. No, absolutely, man. That's what we work day in and day out to fix. It's not an issue. It's us trying to protect people from losing their money to scam artists. And that has to take precedent, unfortunately. We do have our full team up and running this coming week. So you will see things speeding up. You will see changes taking place, and you will see more people getting into the business quicker. So obviously that's something that we want to do. But it's not necessarily broken. It actually is working as it should. We're just protecting our clients rather than onboarding new ones in the fastest fashion. Hey, Kevin, what is your strategy on listing new coins? Is still listing coins with great projects, team, and potential? Is it listing coins because people in the market ask for it? It's more the former rather than the latter, meaning it's more about finding things that we feel are doing the right thing, that have a very similar modus operandi to ourselves, that are trying to make this market better, create access, etc. Plus, they have a great team, great potential. And they don't have fiat on and off ramps is another key thing, and they have a great community, another key thing. So that is definitely probably number one, followed by people asking for it. However, we've seen in the past that people have asked for an asset, we list it, and no one trades it. So I think it's much more the former. But when it comes to majors, something becomes a major and many people asking for it, and it doesn't completely go outside of our the way we think, our mission, our vision, something like Dogecoin, for example, then, or Shiba Inu or whatever, then we probably will list it, just like we listed Bitcoin. And we didn't list Bitcoin and Ethereum because it had no fiat on and off ramps, or because we talked with the project owners. We listed it because it's Bitcoin. We listed it because it's Ethereum. Yeah, well, Davin or Davin. Might be Davin. Yeah, it's probably Davin Richard. I probably mispronounced it 4 times, but I think I got there in the end. Someone clip that for future use, please. Okay, I must have made a funny face. I made a few for sure. YXO. For me, it's a nay, but just personally, as far as listing, it might happen one day. Any opinion on Near and Octopus Network? Don't have one, Barantan, but if you DM me on Telegram some information, I'll take a look, and I might come up with one. Hey, Roland, is there any project you personally would like to see on CoinMetro in the near future? Yeah, there's a few actually. There's one that's shortlisted to be listed in the very near future. There's a few others that I spot now and again, but definitely there's one that's shortlisted. But I can't tell you what it is because it's shortlisted. That would take away some of the fun. UST. Yes, sir. UST. Hey, Kevin, any plan on listing MTV? It's layer 1 blockchain with huge potential. Someone DM me about that. I haven't dug into it yet, but I will. So I can't really give an answer on that one yet, but there might be potential. I'm not sure MTV is going to really like the fact that their token name is MTV if they be big enough. I mean, I would. We haven't yet seen, a lawsuit from a company suing over a token name, but we might, and that could be one of them. Hey, Kev, would you agree that Plan B stock to flow? Okay, I already answered that one. That was a great question, though, by the way. Is Funderbeam same as Ignium? Nope, it's not. Funderbeam is not the same as Ignium. Remember, Ignium is looking to create this investomer type model where your clients become your investors. That reduces the cost of capital significantly, and it also means that you get a much more devoted investor than you would otherwise. Funderbeam does not do that. Obviously, some aspects of the business are the same. But if you go down that road, you could say that NASDAQ, obviously, any market in the world, any marketplace in the world selling any type of security is the same as Ignium. But that would be an overgeneralization. Has there been advertising for XCM CoinMetro this year? If so, where? Haven't seen any. Only one screenshot of the TG group. Yep, there has, but we're kicking off much more advertising in the coming weeks, including some spots on TV like we did late last year. You'll see those upticking as well. I love your brutal honesty, especially in this question related to serious business that CoinMetro is. Thanks, Gustavo. Really do appreciate you as well. We got to have a chat at some point here. I know we missed, well, you probably missed me. I didn't, or I missed you. It's probably my fault that we didn't talk again. Thoughts on Web3 hype? Web3 hype is kind of like metaverse shit to me. I have no doubt that the metaverse won't be called the metaverse, but that basically virtual worlds will be a major thing, but not for quite some time. I also think, Web3 obviously is going to be a thing. Is it going to happen in the next few years? No, there'll be some new shiny golden butterfly that'll fly by the window of somebody in the coming months. And Web3 will be not so hyped. It'll be something else. It's one of those things. It's like, a dog is playing with you. And again, a squirrel runs by and forget it. He was really enthralled with whatever you were doing. Now he could care less. I ordered 2 mining rigs for helium. It would be great if I could send my minted tokens. Well, we'll look into it, man. I do like helium. I think it's a cool project. Just have to see the time that it's going to require for us to actually hook up to the network. How the fuck do you have time for a private life with the wife? Seems like you work 24/7. I used to work 24/7. Well, 22, maybe 21/3. No, sorry, 21/7. I was thinking there was some ratio there with the hours. That was stupid. It's Saturday. I'm sorry. I try my best. As I get older, I do try to have quality time with family. When I was younger, all the way up into maybe my early 30s, all I did was work. And let me tell you, it didn't make my life better. Now I've found a way to work a bit smarter, and I have a great team behind me that can do a lot of the work that I used to do, and probably better than I used to do it. So there's that. But yeah, it's difficult, but you need to do it. Absolutely need to do it. If you don't, it's one of the biggest investments you need to make is in your family. If you don't make that investment, you will get wrecked 100%. Any thoughts about Marmalade Cadena NFT marketplace? No thoughts. Actually, haven't looked at Marmalade yet. Heard about it, haven't looked at it. Love things that support Cadena though, so I will take a look. Yeah, public speakers who use ums and ahs are annoying as hell, right? Jesus. I mean, you're getting paid to do this. I'm not getting paid. I mean, I know I used a bunch of ums and ahs. I might have even thrown in a like here or there. I do apologize. But if I was getting paid millions, I would make sure I didn't. I mean, to do the show, which I don't. I don't think anybody pays me to do this. It's kind of sad. I like doing this, though, so I would do it for free because I do it for free because no one pays me. Tether FUD, as it's not backed by real money. Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. That's been true since the get-go. They wouldn't fight so hard. They went from we're fully backed by USD to we're fully backed by some stuff and maybe some USD to we don't want to show you what we're backed by. I can't think of any reason why a company would do that if they had nothing to hide. My question on the market was more about the Fed tightening and inflation. Crypto follows the NASDAQ, but it should be an inflation hedge. Well, it definitely is an inflation hedge. Because it's grown leaps and bounds since the beginning of the COVID epidemic and the start of what will be massive inflation. The thing is that there's still going to be people that don't understand that. So you will get droves of people that trade based on fear and greed. And that fear and greed is not going to pay attention to fundamentals. But fundamentally, in the beginning of last year, I thought the same, that it wasn't proving to be a hedge against inflation. However, I think it has proven that fact. Yes, we've lost 30, 35% in the last few days on a lot of assets. However, we're still up massively from the start of this pandemic. So I do think it is a hedge. But again, remember that there's still a lot of retail money and they follow, golden butterflies. So you have to watch out for that. I never get which post Kevin reads first on the live show. Sorry, I do put them up on the screen. You should be able to see them. Have you heard about A0 Alpha, any plans to list them? I have heard about them. No plans currently. DM me, please, on Telegram at Kevin Mirko and send me some information because I have heard of them, but off the top of my head, I don't even remember what they do. Damn, Kevin, you're looking hella cute and valid today. Well, thanks, Alex. Your avatar is pretty cool. You sound a bit high. I'm not high, Bill. It's just Saturday and yeah, high on life. Any hint on when CM cards will be launched and what perks they'll have? Huge fan of CM and your AMAs. Q2, Q3, along with our digital fiat brand. I had to think about that for a second. Think about it. My company. Anyway, Q2, Q3, perks. There'll definitely be perks tied in with XCM. That's for sure. We want to make those things sustainable, unlike some that were previously mentioned. We need to listen to Fed signal is, well, we need listen to Fed is signal something is coming. I wouldn't listen too much to the Fed. In fact, over time, crypto has proven that it goes pretty much against the Fed. But that doesn't mean in the beginning it doesn't. That's why we have volatility. So just make sure you can handle the volatility. Already answered this one. We're over an hour. I'm going to try and catch one more. Okay, we'll take this one. This is a good one based on what's been happening. While automating onboarding KYC, you are getting into a situation where compliance becomes new bottleneck for growth. Any plans to hire compliance people? Absolutely, we are hiring compliance people. And the weekend thing is temporary. It's about making sure that people don't burn out. Because if they work every day, then they burn out and there's no one to work any day. So obviously, as we build up the team, there will be support on weekends. That is part of the plan. And there also be much more automation, which will speed up the journey for the vast amount, 90% of the people who sign up. The other 10% will see a delay, but that delay will be lessened over time with more support from compliance. Yep, I'm going to leave it there. I see a couple questions from Peter Hudson and Mr. A, JC, as well as Martin. I can't get to them, but please DM them to me on Telegram and I'll answer them there. I got to thank everybody for showing up today. Want to say, that's a repeat. Want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully 2022 is not just great for CoinMetro, but it's great for all of you as well. Hope you spent some time with friends and family over the holidays. And if you didn't mention XCM to them, please don't ever come back to one of these AMAs. I do appreciate it. But obviously, well, you know what? I'll give you one more shot this weekend as you're sitting down, virtually, physically, whatever, or on a phone call with Aunt Mary. Make sure you stream into that receiver. Remember, Aunt Mary is a little deaf in her right ear and completely deaf in her left. So make sure you scream as loud as you can by XCM. Do it at least 15 times throughout a 10-minute conversation. She's probably not going to hear it anyway, but hopefully subliminal, it'll get into her head because, the cure for deafness is XCM. We all know that. I don't know if winks get you out of like legally binding statements, but in my world they do. So I'm winking. I'm going to wink on that one. Just double, triple wink. I don't know why I keep leaning in for this water. I should just wait 10 seconds when this is over with. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Thanks for everything. Thanks for all the support over the years and the coming years as well. 2022, year of passive income. It's going to be amazing. Staking news coming soon. Stop asking, though, but it's coming soon. SOON. Let's bring back soon. I really like soon. Soon was cool. See you guys on Telegram. You can always DM me at Kevin Mirko. I don't know why I winked again. That was a weird wink. Or you can hit me up on Twitter at Kevin Mirko, and I'll answer you as fast as I can. If you're waiting for an answer from me, because I got a lot of DMs over the past few days, over the weekend, I'm going to try to disseminate through them all, and emails, disseminate through them. That's not how you use that word. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Chat soon, and cheers.